on Facebook. Okay, is everybody ready to get started? All right. Thank you, Jen. I know. There's brownies over there. Yeah, don't eat too much of those, folks. No. But not the essential oil that I'm talking about.
They're not this special.
Yes.
Yeah, are they gluten-free?
They are gluten-free, that's correct.
Oh, they are?
Yep. So one of the little gold stars has orange oil in it, and the other ones have peppermint.
Oh, do you know what? I need to get those oils, too. The solvents and the oils, would you grab those for me? Excellent. And then I need to see if I can get yours, too. All right, well, folks, let me introduce myself. My name is, are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, no, start recording.
Thank you.
You got to hit the start recording one right there. There we go. There. We are recording. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bill Church, and I'm a dog trainer in Seattle, Washington. I own Bow Wow Bill's Dog Training, and I've been doing that since 2007, work with dogs every day. Absolutely love it, living the dream. And the information that I'm going to present here might go against some of your beliefs. Get over here into this one. Here, we have Jen. And all this stuff we're going to consume together, so don't worry.
What happens at the end of your leash
Stays at the end of your leash. Yeah, we're not live streaming it or anything here. Yeah, that one's from her. So, all right.
So I can share this tape right now?
Absolutely. Share it. Share it. It is information. This information needs to be shared far and wide, okay? And what we need to realize is that what I'm presenting here is information, okay? We need to look at that information from an observer point of view. Usually when new information is presented to any person, that information is first held against belief before it is even accepted, okay? And so I would like you to do a couple things today. One, take an observer role. If there's something that I say that kind of goes against your beliefs, just kind of deal with it. No, no, just kind of take it in. Just kind of take it in, and also the information is separate from me as well. And this stuff is available on the World Wide Web. There's lots of case studies out there. Don't believe what I say. Research what I say, please. Okay? Taking declarative sentences and not researching them and just believing them is a big problem in this world. Okay? And so we need to learn how to critically think for ourselves. Okay? And not just put this in the hands of so-called experts. Okay? Because my experience from before and how I got started into this, I will share that with you a little bit further on in this presentation. Okay? So, Cannabis and Canines. I got to do a disclaimer here, folks, okay? All this stuff is just information, okay? Information in this presentation is provided for informational purposes only, okay? It's not meant to substitute the advice provided by your own physician. I'm not a doctor, thankfully, and or any other medical professional, okay? Results reported may not necessarily occur in all individuals, okay? And these statements that I'm about to make have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and none of the information that I'm going to present to you is meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So with that out of the way.
Can't hear you back here.
Can't hear me?
Yeah, not that much.
Yes. There's a VIP. I'll try to speak up. Thank you for letting me know. So why am I choosing to speak about cannabis? A dog trainer from Seattle. What the heck, Well, I've witnessed this the beneficial effects of this plant myself, okay? And after seeing how this plant works, I have chosen to become an advocate for it. And I truly think that access to this plant can change the world, okay? Truth, love, and freedom. That's what it's all about. So, cannabis has been used by human beings for thousands and thousands of years, okay? They've been found in sites of Vikings in China, okay? And Viking ships, ancient China, found them in pouches with old cavemen that are found in the ice. Neanderthal man had a pouch of cannabis with him. The oldest recorded record of cannabis comes from 2027 BC in China. Emperor Shen Nung, and Greeks and Romans were also familiar with it, and also spread to the Middle East or the Islamic Empire. It came to America in 1500s, and it came from the Spaniards. It went to Cuba, and it was for textiles, rope, fabric, all that stuff, okay? They've been trying to regulate cannabis in the Western world here since 1600s. 1610 was one of the first regulations on cannabis. Cannabis essentially became illegal in 1937 when they did a Marijuana Tax Act. The funny thing is that they didn't give out it, where you had to purchase a stamp to grow the marijuana, but they didn't give out any stamps, essentially making it illegal by default, okay? And then also, we got to remember that was at the end of Prohibition. Alcohol prohibition is what I'm talking about, okay? And so they had a lot of agencies that were meant to police this alcohol prohibition that they just kind of transmuted into the drug czar, drug prohibition. Henry Anslinger is famous for saying that cannabis is known to have white women dancing with Negroes, and that's why it should be illegal. Research what I say. Okay? So the cannabis hasn't been around for quite a while, and we have to kind of get, an idea of what this plant is, okay? There's three main types of cannabis, okay? We have sativa, we have indica, and we have ruderalis. Okay, they're pictured right here. I see a difference in their plant structure. And then also keep in mind that even though we have these three strains, or these three types, that we can breed them together. Okay? And so the characteristics from one plant might be beneficial, and so we'll breed it with another plant, and we'll get into that as well. And so we can see derivations of these plants, and this is the straight strains of the sativa, indica, ruderalis. We'll start with the sativa. They're tall, okay, loosely leafed, have loosely branches, have long, narrow leaves, and they're usually grown outdoors because they're so tall. It can be up to 25 feet, okay? They're big stalks, big trees. Lime green, very light green leaves. And the effects of sativa strains are often described as energetic and uplifting, okay? And sativa strains are not ideal for making medicinal oil because of anxious side effects, okay? So that uplifting and energetic, when we get to the part about making the oil, what we have to understand is that the oil is concentrated cannabis. And so if the flower by itself makes you feel energetic and uplifted, the concentrated form might be too much, okay? And then we get anxious effects, and we also get panic attacks, okay? And so with the sativa, it's not ideal for making the oil, okay? 9 to 12 week harvest time, so that's a little bit longer of a harvest time, okay? 9 to 12 weeks. And so we're looking at about 3 months before that plant is fully mature. Okay, let's take a look at the sativa leaf. And you could basically, take a plant and by just looking at it, you get an idea of the makeup of it, okay? And so long, narrow leaves. Anytime I'm looking at a plant, I'm kind of looking the space between the leaves here, see how strong of a sativa that is, or if it's got a smaller gap there, then it's got an indica hybrid, and then you can kind of go from there. So cannabis sativa, okay? Let's go into indica. Indica plants are short, densely branched, have broader, fuller leaves, and they are better suited for growing indoors because they're short, squat, and easily manicured and maintained. Okay, they have darker leaves, and of course broader and fuller. Effects of cannabis or effects of indica strains are often described as sedative and medicinal. Okay? The oil from indica plants is ideal for the making oil from indica plants is ideal because of the sedative and medicinal effects. And also they have a higher CBD content. Okay? CBD stands for cannabidiol, and we'll get into that as well here in just a second, okay? And these guys have a 6 to 8 week harvest time compared to a 9 to 12 week on the sativa. Okay, so this plant provides much quicker flower. And
But you're only talking about the flowering cycle, not the full veg.
that's right. That's right. So we have a difference. Rick was saying I'm talking about the flowering cycle, not just the full veg cycle. Okay? The veg cycle gets the plant growing up. The flower cycle gets the plant flowering out. Okay? 2 different cycles. And so, and it's usually dictated by a couple things. One, the spectrum of light that is presented to this plant. Okay? Fluorescent lights and grow lights are usually fine for veg, but we need a special light in order to get this plant to flower. And they make LED lights that are a little spendy right now still. They're coming down in price. Those are the most efficient way, and the cheapest way would be the LED lights. We also, bless you, we also have high-pressured sodium lights, and they're also called HPS, okay? And then we also have to look at the light cycle. When we do the veg process of a plant, we want that plant under a light for 16 to 20 hours. Some people do the plants 24 hours. I don't like that. I enjoy my sleep. I assume my plants enjoy their sleep as well. So I like to have a little sleep there. Now, with the flower, it's 12-12. 12 on, 12 off. Indicates to that plant that it's time to flower, time to send out its buds. Okay? Now, with the plant that we're talking about the female plant. And the interesting thing about the word cannabis, canna is Babylonian for cane or stalk, and bis is 2. Okay, so we have 2 different plants, the male and the female plant. And in China, it's the same thing. I can't remember exact word, but it's the same translation, stalk 2. Okay, so I found that very interesting as well. Yeah, so let's go into ruderalis. Did that answer your question?
I was going to say one other comment is you can get CFLs now, compact fluorescent lights, in the right spectrums for
Flowering?
For flowering, and I use all CFLs.
Do you? Okay. Yeah, I mean, the market is ever changing. Technology is innovating, and so, research it, this stuff. And especially now, there's a lot of interest in cannabis. People have not the best results sometimes with the Western model of medicine, and are looking for different alternatives. And when they hear stories about the one that I'm going to share with you, and experience it as well, when you experience something, it's a lot different than just reading about it. When you have knowledge through direct experience, it's a totally different ballgame. And so that's what I'm bringing to you, is my experience, helping my wife and helping my dogs, and showing you exactly how I did it. I'm not here to sell you anything, okay? I'm not here to sell you oil. I'm here to educate you on the proper way that this oil is made. And so if you choose to make it yourself, you know how to. Or if you choose to purchase it, you know that you're purchasing the right product. Okay? And we have some samples that we'll go through to illustrate what proper oil looks like and what it doesn't look like, okay? What the wrong oil looks like. No samples today, sorry. I know. Wonk, wonk, wonk. So, ruderalis. Oh, wait, this is the cannabis indica leaf. Now, notice the gap between those leaves. Okay, usually they're overlapping, okay, with the indicas. Okay, so just walking up, just looking at that plant. What's something about an indica plant that's different from sativa? But also what else? And what else? That's right. So length, color of leaves, and shape of leaves are the main things that we're looking at, okay? Excellent. So the ruderalis plants, okay, these are the ones that we make hemp out of, okay, and the hemp fibers, all that stuff. I mean, we can make them out of just about any plant, but this is the one that they like because of how quickly it grows and how quickly it matures. So ruderalis plants are short, 1 to 2 feet, 2.5 feet tall, thick and sturdy stems. And the effects of cannabis ruderalis alone are minimized by low concentrations of THC. However, the stability and short life cycle make ruderalis versatile and attractive to breeders who want to take advantage of its auto-flowering. Okay, the ruderalis genes offer the ability for the breeders to create an auto-flowering hybrid with the advanced potency and flavor profile from its genetic partner. Okay, so if you find a bud that is really speaks to you, and you know, there's so many different strains of this, and everyone is going to affect us differently, and we're all individuals, okay, and so they're going to affect maybe me differently than they would affect you. What my doctor said to me when I first got cannabis and was pay attention to the strains that give you new ideas or make you think of a problem differently, okay? So if you have the effect of marijuana and it's just kind of working on that brain and it's making you kind of see things differently, pay attention to that, okay? Because it's indicating that we're wiring into that neural network, okay, and really firing off, and your brain's kind of doing its own thing, you know? So 21 to 30 days, 3-4 weeks, we're done after flower, okay? And then ready to harvest 70 to 110 days from seed. Okay, so very quick turnaround, very attractive to people that are producing textiles or ropes or manufacturing industry. Okay? There's what the cannabis ruderalis leaf looks like. Kind of puny. Okay? Let's talk about the endocannabinoid system. Okay, I know I got a lot of information on here, and I'll read it all out to you because, you know, this endocannabinoid system was discovered in the late 80s, 1988, 1989.
92.
Was it 90? Well, it was.
1992, the researcher in Spain discovered that the human body had
Endocannabinoid system. So 92 even. So even sooner. Okay, so. And not only that, but we also have to realize that the THC molecule was found in the 60s. Okay? And even when we didn't have this stuff to research with, this is tied behind walls of legality. Okay? So even though we start finding out about this, we can't research it because of the laws that are in effect right now. Okay? Endocannabinoid system, we'll call it ESF. ECS is a group of endogenous cannabinoid receptors located in mammalian brain and throughout the central and peripheral nervous system, consisting of neuromodulatory lipids with their receptors. I often ask people, why do you think cannabis has such a profound effect on our sleep, our mood, core temperature, appetite? You know, all these different systems it fits into like a key into a lock. okay? And that's our endocannabinoid system. Basically, anything with a spine has an endocannabinoid system, okay? And beautiful thing about endocannabinoids is that they allow, well, I'll get there. Endocannabinoids and their receptors are found throughout the body, in the brain, organs, connective tissues, glands, immune cells in each tissue. The cannabinoid system performs different tasks, but the goal is always the same, homeostasis, okay? The maintenance of a stable internal environment despite fluctuations in the external environment, okay? Endocannabinoids and cannabinoids are also found at the intersection of the body's various systems, allowing communication and coordination between different cell types. At the site of injury, for example, stabilizing the nerve cell, prevent excessive firing, and calming nearby immune cells to prevent the release of pro-inflammatory substances. 3 different mechanisms of action on 3 different cell types for a single purpose: minimize the pain and damage caused by the injury. Okay? In addition to regulating our internal and cellular homeostasis, cannabinoids influence a person's relationship with the external environment. Socially, the administration of cannabinoids clearly alters human behavior. After promoting sharing, humor, and creating by mediating neurogenesis, neuronal plasticity, and learning, cannabinoids may directly influence a person's open-mindedness and ability to move beyond limiting patterns of thought and behavior from past situations. Okay? Reformatting these old patterns is an essential part of health in our quickly changing environment. Okay? And so they allow us to accept change and to change ourselves and to be okay with it. It's a wonderful compound. Who would have thought that cannabis brought me here in front of all of you? You know, and it's amazing the doors that it opens and the people, the wonderful people that I've met talking about this plant. Okay, and so that to me is confirmation of that. So let's get into some of these chemical compounds of cannabis. Okay, a lot of times when we hear about cannabis, we only hear about CBD oil. Okay, where I'm kind of like, yeah, that's good, but it's kind of human characteristic to kind of take something, pick it out, and be like, oh, there it is, that's the answer. I believe that this is a complete package as is. Okay, we don't need to separate one compound from another. We need to find the blend that works perfectly with our particular case. Tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. The most well-known of the cannabis that gets you high. Okay, that's the psychoactive. Now, the thing that's very important to know about THC is that you have to heat it up to 200 degrees for it to be psychoactive. Okay, and so it has to be heated up. THC binds to cannabinoid receptors in the central nervous system and the immune system, resulting in relaxation, reduced pain, and increased appetite. Okay, cannabidiol. Okay, this is a major phytocannabinoid accounting up to 40% of a plant's extract. CBD is considered to have a wider scope of potential medical applications than tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay, and so the CBD works on neuro issues that the THC might not affect as well. Okay, that's why you see the high CBD strains are given to kids with epilepsy. Okay, and they want to give them to kids because I get it, that the psychoactive qualities are not there. But I also believe that the THC is there for a reason. And, you know, I've taken Vicodin, and I've taken Percocets, and I've taken prescribed medications that have gotten me way higher than we'd ever had. Okay, and so it's you know, kind of that dilemma of how do we treat this path of least resistance with getting the most effect that we can, okay? Cannabichromine. Evidence suggests that it may play a role in anti-inflammatory, antiviral effects of cannabis. It also contributes to the overall analgesic effects of medicinal cannabis. A study done in March 2010 showed that CBC, along with cannabidiol and tetrahydrocannabinol, have an antidepressant effects. Other studies show that CBC helps promote neurogenesis, okay, new neural growth, okay? Okay, cannabinol, CBN. Keep in mind that we have over 500 chemical compounds that I'm going through right now. No, just kidding. We have about 500 chemical compounds in this plant, 80 of which are cannabinoids, okay? And so I'm going to touch on a few, but don't believe what I say. Research what I say, okay? Cannabinol, CBN, is a primary product of the THC degradation, and there is usually a little of it left in a fresh plant. CBN content increases as THC degrades in storage and with exposure to light and air. It's mildly psychoactive. Tetrahydrocannabivarin, okay? Tetrahydrocannabivarin, or varin, is a prevalent in certain strains of Asia, southern African strains of cannabis, antagonist of THC and CBD or CB receptors, and how do you say that word? Somebody help me. Attenuates. What the hell is attenuates? I just posted that up there. Like it helps along, right? Is that what it means? Helps along. Okay. It activates. Thank you very much. I'm like, what the hell is that? The psychoactive effects of THC. Cannabigerol, CBG, non-psychoactive, but still affects the overall effects of cannabis. CBG has been shown to promote apoptosis in cancer cells, make them kill themselves and make them not stop growing, okay? And inhibits tumor growth in mice, okay? Here's a wheel. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we have bone stimulants, CBDV, antipsychotic, anti-epileptic, neuroprotective, antispasmodic, anti-ischemic, anti-prolific, anti-cancer, okay? Antibacterial, CBD is a natural antibacterial. Intestinal, analgesic, bone stimulant, look at this, bone stimulant, bone stimulant, bone stimulant, okay? Immunosuppressive for autoimmune disorders, anti-prolific, antibacterial. Again, here's a fourth bone stimulant. Here's a fifth bone stimulant. Okay? Don't believe what I say, research what I say. Here we got another one. Now here we have some conditions that this could benefit, okay? And so here's a wheel. Cramps, sleep apnea, migraines, headaches, phantom limb, so neuro. We're looking at neural problems. We got CBD, THC, spinal injury, okay? Fibromyalgia, insomnia, pain, arthritis, inflammation, appetite loss, anorexia, gastrointestinal disorders, nausea, diabetes, Crohn's, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, stress, bipolar, OCD, PTSD, depression, Tourette's syndrome, epilepsy, seizures, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, spasticity, osteoporosis, Lou Gehrig's ALS, asthma, overall fatigue, hypertension, glaucoma, HIV/AIDS. It's looking like a panacea to me, folks. Look at all these things that this can help and affect. Why isn't it available in an American medical model, or any model that is?
Can't make any money off of it.
That's exactly right. You can't patent this stuff, okay? We can't. This is divine. This was here before us, okay? And it has an effect on our body, and it helps us for a reason, okay? Soren Kierkegaard, one of my favorite quotes, "To know and not act is not to know," okay? And I'll take it a step further. To know and not to act is not to know and not to care, is what I say. And we need way more care in our medical field. We need way more acceptance and intelligence. We have too much intellect. without that generative quality of care that we need, okay? Let's talk about trichomes, okay? Trichomes comes from the Greek word trichoma, meaning hair, okay? They're fine outgrowths or appendages on plants, algae, lichens, and certain protists. They're a diverse structure and function. Examples are hairs, glandular hairs, scales, and papillae. I think papillae. Somebody help me out if I butcher this stuff. Like I said, dog trainer. Scientists used to think that THC and other cannabinoids were made. Now, this is very important right here. Okay, I want you guys to pay particular attention to this paragraph right here. Scientists used to think that THC and other cannabinoids were made in the green plant tissue and then transported out into the trichomes during the flowering, because that's when those trichomes start to appear. And then as we get further along in the flower, those trichomes even come further and further, during the flowering. But after intensive research, they realized that the trichomes themselves, okay, make the cannabinoids and the terpenes. That's all I'm interested in this plant, is getting those trichomes. How do I harvest these trichomes? Okay? About 50 to 100 micrometers wide trichomes are very small. Okay, ever hear somebody say that their pod is really crystally? That's basically what it is. Those are the trichomes. It's a resin on the female plant that attracts the pollen. Okay? And that's the key. That's what we want. Okay? That's what we want to harvest. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. Here's the trichomes, folks. Okay? So this is what they look like. And this is keep in mind that this is can you guys hear me okay back there? Okay. This is a plant that is still growing. Okay, it's not cured or anything. But look at that. I mean, it's very sticky, very stinky sometimes, And here's a little bit closer shot, and then even closer. It looks like they call them a trichome because of tri, the three, and so they have a little tetrahedron, a little pyramid right here, and then with the ball on top. Okay, it's almost like an all-seeing eye. That's what I think. Well, with the pyramid with the eye on top. I was like, whoa, weird. I'm weird. I'll get out there. And here's an electron microscope of the trichomes. Okay, and this is, like I said, this is what we're interested in harvesting. Okay, we want this oil. This is why we want the oil, because this is where the cannabinoids are. Okay? And there we go. We got the trichome head, cross-section, terpenes, cannabinoids, all that good stuff. So far, so good? Everybody feel like they're learning stuff?
One
Rick?
thing that you might want to mention is during the growing, in order to get trichomes to really expand, is you keep them from being pollinated.
Absolutely.
So you isolate the female plant from the male plant, and in their attempt to get pollinated, they create more trichomes.
That's right. That's right. And so, yeah, when we're looking at plants, we're keeping the female plants mostly, and that's it. If we ever, most plants up in Seattle, where I'm from, are cloned. Like they'll get a good strain, and then they'll clone it, and then they'll sell these clones. But if you do grow from seed, which I do recommend, because the clones are kind of limited, a lot of times we have to separate the males from the females so it doesn't seed out our crop, and it doesn't deteriorate the medicinal quality of it. And so as soon as we see a male plant, take it away and we separate them when we're making that medicine.
What is the difference in appearance? Do you have to put them in a microscope?
No, absolutely not. You can see it. And you know what? I didn't make a slide on that, but I will show you a picture here pretty soon. It's pretty obvious difference when you look at it. The males are producing the seeds where the females, or they're producing the pollen where the females are producing the flowers, the buds. And as soon as they start showing that they're sex, then we know. And like Rick said, we separate the males from the females. So let's talk about making the oil, okay? A lot of times people, especially in the marijuana cannabis industry, they save the buds to sell to smoke, right? They sell the flowers by themselves, and then what they do is they'll take what's called the trim, all the leaves, and they'll try to make the oil out of that. That is incorrect. We want the buds for the oil. We want to throw away or discard the trim. Okay, we want the trichomes. That's where the medicinal qualities are. Okay, so when we harvest, we're going to be trimming up all the loose leaves around those buds, and then we're going to be hanging them upside down. And I hang them upside down in a dark, like a dark box that is in a room with about 60% humidity, and it takes about a week for them to dry out. And then once they're dried out, then I'll go and I'll chop them all off of the branch, put them in a container, put them back in that box, and let them continue to cure or dry out, okay? Yep, and then once they're crispy dry, I'll take them and I'll put them into the freezer, okay? And this is where I went wrong before. Okay, when I started making this, I would just take the oil, soak it in a solvent, and or take the bud, soak it in a solvent, cook off the solvent, and then have the oil. And it had a lot of chlorophyll in it. If you do this correctly, your oil will be gold. Okay, it's golden color. It should have no green in it whatsoever. I got some samples here that I'll show around on the right stuff and the not so good stuff. And that's what it is that there's a profit motive behind this. They want to get as much product as possible. And so that is why I want to teach people how to make it, so if we don't choose to make it on our own, we at least know what we're looking for, so we can buy the best quality for ourselves, our loved ones, or our animals. Okay? So there's lots of solvents that we can use, but a lot of these solvents are bad news. Okay, and very dangerous. They blow up your place. They're all, remember when we start to distill or whatever, we're putting flammable gaseous substance in the air, and any flame that's going to come by is going to cause an explosion. Okay? Absolutely not. Yeah, you got to be, keep your wits about you, but I'm also going to provide you with the safest method to make it, okay? And we'll go through the solvents here really quick. We have CO2. CO2 is a solvent when it's heated or cool, pushed through flour at high speed, centrifugal forces there, we have high supercritical or low supercritical pressures. 95% of the cannabis extractions right now are done supercritical phase. Most people tend to prefer the supercritical CO2 extraction because it gives a lighter color, extracts few waxes and resins, retains significantly more volatile oils compared to the supercritical extraction. However, without the proper equipment rated for the proper pressures, creating quality CO extracts concentrate is incredibly difficult. This stuff is done in a lab with very expensive machines. Okay? So it's not really economical to do ourselves at home. Okay? We have ISO, and they do what's called a QUIZO, which is quick wash ISO. That's a term in cannabis. Isopropyl alcohol, and we use 99% isopropyl. Okay? It's commonly used solvent for creating cannabis concentrates using a quick wash method, and that's that quick wash ISO that I was talking about. Where hexane is not water soluble, isopropyl alcohol is highly water soluble and will dissolve undesired plant materials, chlorophyllus, and waxes along with sought after cannabinoids. Then we have butane and propane. Okay, that's where a lot of these guys are